in societies, but yet there's somewhat easier, so to speak, issues of labor, of environment, of migration, of currency will be dealt by the joint, because in the Middle East, but probably anywhere else, issues of identities and place are right at the core. The people treat them with great passion, and they should, I think, be dealt with populations of fellow citizens. The other thing is, more practically and pragmatically, when you talk to the right, even though Dayan wrote this in the New York Times, there is a great angst, and also he himself. And look at it now from a critical perspective. Let's say I will talk like the many settlers that I meet all the time, because we present this Confederation plan to the Islamists and to the settlers. It's an amazing dynamic. And they say, we've occupied this land for 45 years. The government, especially since Begin, since 1977, committed to Judaize the West Bank. And look what we got for it until now, nothing. Nothing. They are sheepscapes, they are rabbits, they are cowards. They haven't done anything. The settlers haven't gained anything politically, right? Except power inside Israel. Nobody in the world recognizes Jewish control of the West Bank, not even East Jerusalem, not even the Wailing Wall. Nothing, zero. Now, I'm making it extreme in a way to show that there is great angst among them, because they know they're illegal. They know the international law, the international regime will not allow that as it is. So, what happens with this kind of idea, that it's a huge obstacle. 500,000 people that are beyond the borders. Even if you're a really peace-seeking person, you cannot imagine removing them, right? And also, from their own perspective, some of them are third generation, and the state supported them. They will feel terribly cheated, as they did in Gaza when Sharon, in his brutal way, evacuated and demolished all the settlements there. So rather than the Gaza disengagement, as the left at the time said, it's a proof that it can be done. Maybe it's partly true, but it's also an exception that proves the rule, that how difficult it was to remove 7,000 settlers. Until now, it's not resolved inside Israel. So the Confederation idea gives maybe a way out of it. That the Palestinians, if you like, give up the idea of the settlements. They stay, they're not removed. A recent study of B'Tselem shows that they actually cover the built area of settlements. What do you think? I mean, they make so much noise, so much news, but the built area of the settlement cover only 2% of the West Bank, even less. With a GIS analysis, it's 1.5%, and if you take the roads, etc., it's 2% of the West Bank. The Palestinians give that up, but what they get in return, right, is an integration of the space, right? Freedom of movement. They can go to Haifa, they can go to work in Tel Aviv, they can go to shop, they can go to the airport, all the things that are prevented from them, and there's all the refugee settlement issue too that will be integrated into it. So many Palestinians that you talk to them about it, and they have great hatred to the settlers because it's a violent colonial population. Suddenly when you hear about that the settlement will stay next to them, but they'll be able to go freely to Tel Aviv, they start to change their mind. And I'm a great believer in practical, material solutions. Sometimes they override historical narratives. So in that respect, the consociation can perhaps be a tool forward, but only with the proviso that there is a give and take and people see it as a fair deal.
Yes, please.
How would your plan work when Mahmoud Abbas said that the Palestinian state would be Jew-free, Judean-red? How would your plan work? And also another question is, why must settlements be part of the preconditions for negotiations and not part of the negotiations themselves?
Well, Mahmoud Abbas said that. Mahmoud Abbas said so many things. He also agreed for the settlements to stay. It depends what Mahmoud Abbas, on what day you catch him. At the moment, the dynamics of Palestinian politics are, that, as I said, the one-state solution discourse is increasing all the time, which puts paid to his attempts, right? And second, he is considered to be weak and collaborating with the West, etc., etc. So he, as you know, as leaders do, he makes this kind of statements. Secondly, he makes this kind of statement vis-a-vis Israel's refusal to move 1 inch forward in the peace negotiation, right? So what weapons does he have in his pockets, right? He's very cleverly decided not to go the terrorist way. That was disaster for the Palestinians for a long way. Okay, so he's stopped and he's very, very firm about that. The only thing he has is the idea of recognition and the settlers. Recognition is that Netanyahu demands, I think without any justification, that the Palestinians recognize Israel as a Jewish state, where already the UN partition plan talks about a Jewish and Palestinian state, and in fact it's not up to the Palestinians to decide, it's up to the Israelis, right? Singapore will not ask Indonesia to tell Singapore what type of state it is, right? Singapore will decide itself what is a self-determination. So this is a bogus kind of claim on Netanyahu. And Abu Mazen is playing with that. That's a weapon that he suddenly has because Netanyahu demanded that from him. The second thing is the settlers. That's all the Palestinians have really. They don't have economic power, they don't have political clout. So he makes this threat that will be Judenrein, which is a very emotive term taken from Second World War, from the Nazi era. And I would, if there was serious negotiation, I think Mahmoud Abbas will return to be Abu Mazen and negotiated with Beilin and agreed that many of the settlements will stay. You know, these politicians. The second question is about the settlers being part, I think, it's not preconditioned. I think all populations, if we are serious about moving forward, the example of Northern Ireland is excellent, the example of South Africa is excellent. If this is the advice to Netanyahu that the professor at the back asked me before, is you begin a process, you begin a constitutional council, you have all the groups there. You cannot alienate any serious group unless they advocate the elimination of the others, or they have to be preconditioned about doing it non-violently. But I would say the settlers and all the other groups, including the Islamist group, are part of the negotiation for the future, without doubt.
Okay, do we have any other comments or questions for our guest? Then I think it's time to thank Professor Yiftachel for a wonderful performance, and we have a little presentation for you. It is customary here in Singapore to. How are we going to do this? All right. Okay. You can take that. Oh, sorry. I'm not new. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.